Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back. A great big welcome back to Mentorship Mondays with Michelle and Maren. Maren, I have missed
Hi,
you.
everyone. Old friend.
Old
I've
friend.
missed you too.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It feels like forever since we've been on. And I'm so glad that you guys have all hung out and waited. Thank you for all the awesome messages. I'll touch upon it real quick. As you know, my eldest daughter, she has had some medical issues, and there's still quite a bit that's going on with her, but we've been getting some great help, and she had seizures. So that's basically, it's not really a secret because I've been telling a lot of people, and I've had to move my schedule quite a bit. And she also has autism, and my son, as we know, has autism. So, it started back in July. We started to have some problems with it, and it was pretty hairy with her having seizures and Marx's reaction. And it's brought up a lot of, for Maya, it's brought up a lot of emotion and everything around it too. So I hope at one point that she will share her story, because what she's experiencing has a really strong, as we know, everything has a spiritual lesson to it, and she's experiencing an awakening. It's not comfortable, but we're working through it. And, what I'll say is when her seizures first started, she gets a lot of visions with them, and she was very scared in the beginning. And she still gets scared when she has them, but she's really come a long way in 6 weeks. She's come a long way with being able to work
That's so
through
good to
them.
hear.
And it's really, I'm very proud of her, because, if you saw where she was when they started to how she handles it and works through it today is very different. So I do hope she comes on and shares, or allows me to share her full story, because I don't want to speak on it yet until she's, ready to say, okay, we can talk about it if she wants to. But it's been a very complex little while. And as we know, every time we experience something, every time I've experienced something that stops our schedule, that stops our day to day, it's an opportunity to really, for me, I feel, and I'm going to say this, and it's vulnerable to say these things, but I'm very proud of myself. I am very proud of myself, because there was a time when something would happen in my life and I would be an emotional basket case. I would just be not knowing where to turn, what to do. I wouldn't be able to eat. I would only be able to focus on the problem and how are we going to get past this. And even though, we're still working through something, I feel that I can really see, and I've said this before, I can really see how much healing, how much the inner work has really paid off. Because when these things happen, I feel like it's, what's the right wording for it? It's more like a controlled chaos. I'm much more calm than I ever was before. And,
Yeah.
Eric and I had a conversation before Maren, you and I jumped on today. And Eric was talking about the importance of making sure that we address how we feel, especially when we're going through something. And so as a mom, and Maren, I know you can understand this too, when our kids are going through something, our focus is on them. Our focus is on making sure they have what they need. It's just on, everything is on them. And as moms, we tend to do that a lot for our families. Our focus is on them. And Eric said, taking care of your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health, remembering to eat, making sure that you're not putting everything else as priority. And really, what are the priorities? And so when we go through something, we really have to say, okay, what is the most important thing that I need to do for my family, for myself, and being okay with that.
Yeah. I was thinking about that, Michelle, too. I feel like, I don't know, maybe several episodes back, we were talking about boundaries and how that was something that you had to learn. And I think, going through this part of the healing process, or how you're saying, this has changed, is that you put up boundaries. You said the show is not priority. My readings are not priority. My family's priority. And it does, I think, help you be able to have that controlled chaos when you
Yes.
can put up those boundaries,
Yes.
because you're not going to be a good mom or a good host when you're spread too thin.
No.
And so
No, and I've
that
learned that the
boundaries is
hard
part
way
of,
many times before. I've
yeah.
learned that trying to appease everybody and trying to give myself to everyone, spread myself to everyone, is not possible, because it's only going to keep me down longer. It's only going to make things harder.
I had that situation this week too, in a very minor scale of yours, obviously. But the boys, they were like, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that, and Josh was out of town and I was trying to make everyone happy. And then finally it was, past bedtime. And I just like, I hit a wall, it's like, I was happy mom, and yes, I'll help you do this. And yes, we'll go do that. And yes, we can have this. And, trying to make everyone happy. And then all of a sudden it just like hit me. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I call myself cranky mom when I get like, because it's like all of a sudden I notice I'm starting to yell, and they're like, oh God, she's scary. She's yelling, And so I'll always like apologize and be like, I'm sorry. I'm just cranky mom because it's past my bedtime and
Yeah.
you guys aren't in bed, And so obviously that happened, and I was like, you have released the cranky mom. And so now we call it the Kraken.
Yeah.
You
Release the
released the
Kraken.
Kraken. And so, they're kind of a little bit better about the yelling,
Yeah.
because I'm at least
Yeah.
acknowledging it. But yes, when you spread yourself thin and you don't put up the boundaries, then you're just a mess.
Yeah.
And so I'm
Yeah.
proud of you for doing
Thank
that.
you.
And we all support you.
Yes.
And we're all so glad
Yeah.
that you were able to take care of your family. And I'm so glad that she's not necessarily doing better, but
Yeah.
managing better.
Yes.
So that's
We have
good.
someone coming. Her girlfriend is coming from Missouri. Come and stay for a couple of weeks, and it's a surprise.
Good.
And she can't hear me right now. And she's not gonna.
Okay.
She'll know after, when this records. She'll already be
Okay.
here. But she's coming to
Okay,
stay,
good.
and which will be great, because it'll really help kind of lift a little bit of the pressure off of us. We have tons of amazing emotional support, and all the healing and all the prayers, which has helped immensely. But when it comes to the physical health, we just don't have it. Both our Rob's parents and my parents are beyond being able to manage with Marcus, and that's really, you know, for Rob and I think that Marcus, gosh, I say this a lot, but Marcus has taught us so much about patience, about what's important, priorities. And I'm very grateful for that. But we do need outside support at times. And I have been known for a long time for not asking for help, for just
Yeah.
doing things myself, taking everything on
Yeah.
myself and trying to fix it. And
Yeah.
because in my mind, I would be like, I know how to do it. It's easier for me to just do it. It's easier for me to just get on with it than to try and explain what I need to someone else. What I did realize in that is one of the things that I was, we'll say, fooling myself with, or not giving myself the awareness to, is part of the reason why I have not asked for help, has been because I was saving myself from disappointment of asking someone for help and feeling judged or feeling uh, judged, feeling responsible. Like if I ask someone for help and I'm taking them away from what they need to do, like uh, and as I'm saying this, this comes from a pattern that I had developed for a very long time where I felt perceived wrong, where I never
Mm-hmm.
felt that I was being perceived for the way I really felt I was. And it was not something that I
Mm-hmm.
could, or that I felt that I could voice or communicate with anyone. So it would come off as being very
Mm-hmm.
defensive. So I would always be
Mm-hmm.
defending myself or defending what I needed. And I got to the
Mm-hmm.
point where I felt like I was exhausting myself defending or picking and choosing what I asked for help because I couldn't deal with the judgment and it's also picking up on the cues and knowing what is being thought or what is, you know what I mean? Like when you know somebody, I'm not going into specific situations, so maybe it feels like I'm kind of
Well, it's almost
dancing
like
around it, but
it's like contrasting like the inner perception you have of yourself
yeah,
and then what you need is in conflict with that. And so then it's hard to
yeah,
admit, right? Like you
yeah,
want to be super mom, loving
yeah,
mom. I can take care of you and take care of all your needs, mom. I feel like
yeah,
when they put the little newborn baby in your arms for the very first time, it's like that moment hits and you're like, I will solve everything for
yeah,
you. I will make sure
yeah,
nothing ever happens to you, you
yeah,
know? And then
yeah,
when you have to go ask for help, it's like, wait, no, I made this vow like
yeah, yeah,
when they were born that I would fix everything.
yes. It's
And
true. It's true. And it's surprising because you know, through every different stage that we go through. And I was saying this to you, Maren, before we came on, the silver lining to every hardship we experience or every adversity we experience, if we're willing to look at ourselves and we're willing to ask questions and really understand what am I learning through this? What could I have done to make something better, or what did I do well? Like all of those things. Putting the awareness around it, there is a huge boost in our consciousness and our ability to receive information, in our ability to be able to see through things, to understand, having more awareness. And I found that the level of compassion, when we go through a lot of these things, especially with my kids' health, with the different levels of difficulty that we've had with Marcus, my compassion has tripled. And having boundaries at the same time, I can be very compassionate with people, really understand and know how hard a situation is. And at the same time, can stand in what I've learned for myself and know how important boundaries are too. So it's kind of like being able to hold these different perspectives at the same time, and they get stronger and they're more useful because when you do that, you practice being able to use your discernment with it, and it helps the experience of being. It just makes it easier
mhm,
and a little more interesting too, which is always
mhm.
fun.
Yeah.
So
I feel too, it's like I am so good at being so empathetic towards others and like, oh, they're going through this and they need this and they did that because they feel this way and they're doing that because they need you to do this
yeah,
and like, I'm so empathetic. And then when it comes to myself, I'm like, no, I must be this one way. I must like not admit fault or failure
yeah,
or, you know,
yeah, yeah,
anything. Like it's the self-love is like,
yeah,
or the empathy is harder. And so to rely on those self-care strategies to help heal and help
yes,
empathize with myself
yeah,
is really important.
because and that is the truth. That is really the truth right there, because nobody else is going to give us that amount of empathy for ourselves. We're not going to get it from anywhere
Hmm.
else. We have to be willing to keep doing it for ourselves, to source that for ourselves, and to really, you know, um, yes, we have those around us, and we all know who we can lean on. Or, it might just be one person and that's all we need. Maybe it's five people and that's all we need. And there's definitely benefit to receiving empathy from others, but we're not going to get it to the depth that we need it until we learn to do it for ourselves.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that opens all kinds
And
of doors by doing that.
yeah, I think knowing what you need, having empathy for yourself and knowing what you need and then being able to advocate for yourself is so important.
Mhm.
Um, it's funny, I'm teaching a lesson in school right now about the types of communication styles. And so, oh gosh, I think it's like advocacy. It's the one that's the yeah, advocacy
Yeah.
or advocating for yourself. So like in conflict, like there's the aggressive style, there's the passive aggressive style, there's the passive style, and then there's like the advocacy style, like, and you're going to advocate for yourself in a nice respectful way.
Yeah.
Is like so important. So like knowing and having empathy on like what your weaknesses are. So funny story, my husband was out of town all week, and I mean, I managed. I got the boys, I've made them their gourmet breakfasts every morning. It's not gourmet, but it's like everybody has like they're very specific. I can't just make eggs for everyone.
Yeah.
I've got to make, the bagel with peanut butter for one kid and the muffin with the egg burrito for the other kid, and my egg sandwich for everybody, including the dog.
Yeah.
He gets his food and his probiotic and
Yeah.
he has to go outside, whatever. So it's like, oh, he heard me say that. But, like from breakfast to helping with homework and getting to our sports on times and managing my events and whatever, and then bedtime, which is so hard.
Mm.
I did it all. I did it all week. But, I have to say there was one little aspect that suffered, but I still feel like I did a pretty good job. But it was keeping the house clean.
Yeah. Good for
It was
you.
a little, when my husband came home, there was like laundry all over the living room from like I was folding. So they were my piles. I just didn't have time to put them away.
Yeah.
And there was like the breakfast was still out from the morning before. Like I put the dishes in the sink, but there was like eggs on the counter and not
Yeah.
the eggshells.
Yeah.
The eggs went back into the fridge, but the eggshells were on the counter and whatnot. And so like my husband came home and he was like so tired, and he's like, oh, and then I got to spend an hour cleaning the house. And, and it was like, he was kind of like mad that the house was like, so he was trying not to be mad,
Yeah.
but he what, like it was
Yeah.
coming out,
Yeah.
and, and I was just like, that really kind of makes me mad because I worked so hard all week to get, the house, or to get the kids everywhere. And like the house was like the third most important
Yeah.
thing. And so like, he came home and the kids gave him big hugs and kisses, and I didn't give him a hug and kiss because when I came home and I saw the house was like, only slightly messy, although he claims that he spent an hour cleaning it, it kind of made me mad. And so it was passive aggressive,
Yeah.
right? Which is not the good communication
Yeah.
style.
Yeah.
And then finally, oh, after talking it out with him, I was finally able to say, I am overwhelmed when you are out of town.
Yeah.
And like and you know what I mean? It's like that conflict of, no, I want to be super mom. I want to be able to make the gourmet breakfasts
Yeah.
and get the kids to their sports and make the gourmet dinner and clean the house perfect and da 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 da. And to say, I am overwhelmed when you are out of town is a conflict of what I'm perceiving of myself and what is like reality. But
Yeah.
the second I could say that, it was like he melted and he was like, oh, oh,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Well, what can I do to help you? You know what I mean? It was like immediately I was able to advocate for myself,
Yeah.
and there was this change in other people's expectations of
Yeah.
me and for me. And
Yeah.
so it was really nice.
And
So,
those are big, and I think we forget really how much that can change the situation and uplift the situation. I actually had a similar type of experience with my husband with what's been going on with us. And I had one day last week where I was feeling overwhelmed and I was starting to grocery list. So this would be the passive aggressive version of me. I was starting to grocery list the things that I felt that he needed to do so that I felt better. and, and he, of course, was like looking at this, like, why aren't you looking at all the other things that I'm doing? And, he was very calm, and I was rattling off all these things that I thought should be done. And all of a sudden, I just stopped and I was like, you know what? I really just need a hug. That's all I need. I really just need a hug. And all of that song and dance that I did of trying to control the situation because I was looking for all of these things to make me feel better. That's what I needed. I needed a hug.
you
I
advocated. Yeah.
advocated and I got my hug and I felt a lot better and everything diffused because it was a
Mm-hmm.
realization of I felt out of control with things going on
Mm-hmm.
and I was looking for ways to create control, things that I felt I had control over, which is an illusion. But to be able to stop and, like, same for you, it's we don't always know everything in the moments that we're doing it. We practice it, and a lot of times, I've certainly come a long way from where I was 10 years ago. But there are times where, boy, I'm sure my husband would love to just jump in the truck and go for a long drive because there are times where I can lay it on. But anyway, I needed a hug. I advocated for it. I got my hug and I was aware, wow, like maybe I need to go and just ground myself and give myself a little bit of self-care, and give myself a break too. And look at, like,
Yeah.
hey, look at all the things you are doing,
Yeah.
you know?
That is so okay. So this is going to be like, I think the key word because so while you have been dealing with that and you advocated that you needed a break from this so that you could take care of your family, I have just been going on like, life as usual and I have been overwhelmed.
Yeah.
My kids are full sports and I'm back to work and my husband's out of town and there's a lot going on,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And so mediumship, and especially since we've been having our talks and meditating and yoga and journaling and all of that has just gone down the toilet, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just life has been so busy and hectic but and I think the key is that I do need to do self-care, right? And through hard times. And so I just need to like advocate for that. Like I need to say to my kids, no, you can't go do whatever because I need to take this time for myself. And then maybe the Kraken won't come out at night, like, so advocating for
Yeah.
yourself is so important. And it's like, it's clicking.
Yeah.
I have to tell you a funny story.
Okay.
It, like literally I have not done anything spiritual, metaphysical, self, anything for myself. Besides, I think I rode my bike to work and I was like, whew, feeling good
Yeah.
because I haven't like worked out.
Yeah.
I haven't journaled, meditated, anything. And I was telling my husband, I was like, oh my gosh, like I feel like this, I feel like it's a balance of two worlds, really is what it is. Like
Yeah.
you can get in that feeling and feel so supported and you're really in the spiritual world, you know, and then you can get really physical and you can be really in the physical world and not think about that at all. And like, it's like this balance and you can be two in the physical world and you can be two in the physical or spiritual world
Yeah.
and two in the physical world. And there's this like nice balance of being able to like be in your world and then be in the spiritual
Yeah.
world. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And so I think my balance shifted more to the physical world.
Mhm.
And I was telling my husband, I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, I don't know what's happening, but when I close my eyes, all I see is black because normally when I close my eyes, I'll see like a spirit, like
Yeah.
will be right
Basic.
there, or
Yeah.
I'll see something, you know, and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh. And now I just close my eyes and I see black. And he was like, just started laughing because he was like, yeah, that's what I see every time. That's what you're supposed to see. And I'm like, no, it's not. Um, so anyway, so I like had this, oh, and oh, this is what, so I had this moment. I woke up in the middle of the night and, you know, all my stories, all my spirit stories start. I woke up in the middle of the
Yeah.
night. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, I know if I'm waking up in the middle of the night, something's going
Yeah.
down, right? And so my dog woke me up in the middle of the night because he had to go to the bathroom, went outside. I didn't feel any like shifty, shadowy feelings. And I was like, huh, this is interesting. Seems very peaceful out here and very normal. And then I got back in bed and I closed my eyes and I was like, there's no one here. This is not normal, you know? And I started to panic and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm losing it. I'm losing it. And I was like, Mayday, Mayday, Eric, testing. Anyone, is anyone out there? And I said, Eric, if you're out there, say something. And he said, you are what you think you are. And I love it because I was like, you're right. I'm a medium. I can see things. I'm just, you know, balancing between two worlds and it's okay. And like it all, and then I just felt so much better after that. And, um, and I kind of like have, that's kind of been my mantra now. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay. You are
Yeah.
who you think you are.
Yeah.
And I'm a medium. And now my friends have come back to me. So all is well in the world.
That's the best because our minds are so powerful. Like our minds are so
Yes.
powerful. Like it just absolutely blows me away. Um, Something that I've been experimenting with quite a bit in the last little while is um journeying at nighttime. And when I mean journeying, so I'm not asleep. I'm kind of in that in between space, my eyes closed, and depending on so during the day I might get a nudge or an idea that kind of pops in to speak to somebody or there's been a couple people in my life that have passed away, not ones that I know like that were in my everyday life, but just people that I've known, and they would pop in, and I knew that there was a conversation that needed to happen, so I've been kind of going into this little space, and it's so interesting because last night I was going for a walk and I was walking down this really long path and there was different spirits that were sitting on chairs as I was walking down the path, and I would sit and have a conversation and I would ask them questions like ask them a question. Actually, a lot of the questions was about writing my book, so I was asking different questions, and it would just was so it reminded me so much of when I was a child and I would get so excited going to bed because when I closed my eyes, I would see things and then I would go into it like an adventure, like a choose your own adventure. And I'd
Yeah.
start to say, well, I wonder if I walk down this path, what if I turn to my right? What's there? What's this way? So I feel like I've kind of gone back to this space when I was a child and I've been exploring that area. Anyway, that's been a lot of my practice for myself, that and writing. I've done a little bit of writing when I've had a chance to sit down and do that. But it's important. It's important that we address ourselves with our mind in the way that we intend ourselves to be. Even
Mm-hmm.
if, even if we are shaking a little bit or not sure exactly what's going on, who do you feel you are? Who do you want yourself to be? Don't look at what you feel you're lacking in any given day. You are who you are. That is enough. You are a medium. You are a spiritual being. They will never leave you. You can never be disconnected. And even if you experience a day, 2 days, a week, a period of time where your connection feels like it is not there, or you're not experiencing something that you're used to experiencing, there might be a very good reason for that. Maybe it is time for you to focus more on your physical life. That doesn't mean you have to disregard your spiritual practices but I've known people that have time where they are so focused on, you know, like myself, family, or, you know, getting yourself through a certain circumstance, that knowing that that connection is always there, because we
Yeah.
are spirit. We are, God is within us. It can't be separated. So it's always there. So holding that in the back of your mind, no matter what you go through. And well, I actually started this with saying the power of the mind. But if you believe that you're disconnected, if you believe that things are closed off, well, that's what you're going to experience.
Well, that when you said that, you said don't focus on what you lack. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what I'm doing. And that's fear. And like, that's
Right?
like our number one lesson is to not like come from fear. And it's like, you don't always think about like lack as fear, but when you think about it vibrationally, lack is fear, right? Um, yeah, I'm not going to focus on what I lack. I'm going to focus on the positive.
Yes.
And gosh, doesn't that just give you so much that gives me so much confidence for the future? Like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, if I just concentrate on what I have,
Yeah.
like skill wise, not what I don't have for anything, right? Like,
Yeah.
I have to write a 10-page paper. Well, I've got one sentence. Great.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait to write another
Yeah.
instead of like, oh my God, I have 9 more pages
Yeah.
to write?
And, and like
So,
that there, if anyone can hear this and really, and maybe you're listening and you're like, yeah, I got that in the bag. I do this really easily, and maybe not. But this is like, this is the inner work that is so valuable. And this is how we gain our momentum. And it's really understanding that there's polarity to everything. Nothing is black and white. There are many different beliefs we can have in one situation, or about a person, or about a thing, whatever it is. If we choose to focus on the positive, and sometimes the positive, maybe what we want is hard for us to focus on because our belief system isn't there. So if we choose a truth in a situation that is the closest to our belief system, that is positive, the closest we can get to it, when we do that as often as possible, that is the magic right there. And that's the inner work. It's so easy. It's so easy in the, in the choice. It's so easy, but it's not necessarily easy to do and to keep it up.
no, it's super hard to do. And I'm like sitting here trying to like now put that in a real life example. But that is so true because there's been so many times. I like that you say you pick a truth that's closest to the truth that you know.
Yeah.
And I relate that to like the vibrations because I know like you can't like skip a whole bunch of vibrations, right? So like you're gonna like when we talked about like timeline shifts and
Yeah.
things like that, you're not gonna make a huge jump. You're gonna make lots of little
Right.
jumps. And so then I think about affirmations, right? And there's been so many times where I'm like write an affirmation that's so far from where I am, right? That I don't believe it when I say it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, that's making me think, okay, I've got to change all my affirmations to things that are closer to where I am now so I can make that little baby jump to then make the next baby jump to make the
Yes.
next baby jump, right?
Exactly. Exactly. This.
Because like even when I used that like paper example, like I've written one
Yeah.
sentence, I can't wait to write the next
Yes.
sentence. I didn't say I'm gonna write page number 10.
Right.
I said I'm gonna write the next sentence.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you have to make your okay. So now, now I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I make my affirmation smaller? I'm trying to like,
I'll tell you,
I'm gonna,
I knew I saved this for
yeah,
a reason. Okay, I'm going to read this.
okay,
Speaking of affirmations. Okay, here we go. I saved something that popped up on internet yesterday, and I knew it was going to come in handy somehow. It's about
okay,
affirmations. It comes from Teal Swan. Do you know who Teal Swan is? Okay,
yes, yeah, I
I
like her a
I
lot.
enjoy Teal Swan. Um, and okay, okay. Here's a really quick and easy way to make an affirmation that fits for us, like for each person individually. Just need to my
Okay.
son had my phone, and I got pictures of Mack trucks and Lego and rats and bats. Like for real, I'll just show you. Like he loves rats of all kinds. He knows every kind of rat, where they are, and
That's a really cute little rat,
it
though.
is. It is. He thinks he calls them little grippers. Got little grippers. And he's like, oh, look at his little eyes and his little grippers. It's really cute. Anyway, okay, so build your affirmations. So this came from Teal Swan. And so
Okay.
I'll read it out so you can choose it. So everybody grab a pen,
Okay.
or you might have to,
Yeah.
Okay, so build your affirmation. The day that you were born. So if you were born between the 1st and the 10th of the month, the first part of your affirmation is, I choose to let go of. If you were born between the 11th and the 20th of the month, your beginning of your affirmation is, I free myself from. If you were born between the 21st and the 31st, it's I release. Okay. So the second part is you're going to choose the first letter of your first name. So for A, B, and C, it's the overlays. For D, E, and F, it's the beliefs. For G, H, and I, the triangulations. J, K, and L, the behaviors. M, N, O, the illusions. P, Q, R, the attachments. S, T, U, V, the patterns. W, X, Y, Z, the judgment. And then the month you were born. If you're January, February, March, that does not serve me anymore. If you're April, May, or June, that are damaging my relationships. For July, August, and September, that are hurting me and those around me. October, November, and December, that don't align with my happiness. So mine, for example, would be I choose to let go of the illusions that don't align with my happiness.
Wow.
Did you get yours?
I like that. Yeah. Mine are, I release the illusions that are damaging my relationships.
So apparently there's supposed to be a vibrational match to something
Alignment to
within
that.
us.
Okay.
It's something to explore. But building your
Okay.
affirmations to something that would help your belief system, or to build something positive. So, for example, with you writing, really what you said, I look forward to the next sentence, right?
Yeah.
Something very simple. Something very simple. When I write the next sentence, I know I will be inspired to write more, right? So building the affirmations is playing a little game with ourselves in, where's our belief system now? Where would we like it to be? And how can we climb to that next point? What's believable? What is my next believable? So it's very believable that you're going to be writing the next sentence, right?
So, yeah. So I look forward to
Writing the next
my
line.
next psych. Well, like, so now I'm thinking, well, that would be for you for your book.
Yeah.
Mine, I was thinking for like, my psychic
Yeah.
experiences went dark.
Oh, right.
And that was, but so I'm kind of going to that example. So I would say, I look forward to the next psychic experience and what I'll be able to hear or something like that.
I would say my psychic perceptions are expanding more each day.
Okay, I like that a
My
lot.
psychic awareness continues to increase through my experiences. One that I like to use, a real simple one, is I always say, I feel clearly, I hear clearly, I know clearly, I experience clearly. Gosh, there's all kinds of little ones that we can write. I have a lot of fun with affirmations, a lot of fun with those because they really do. And you can take an affirmation and keep it with you for, keep it with you for a week, keep it with you.
I need to, you know what? To wrap this up,
Yeah,
not to wrap this
yeah,
up as in time wise, but to wrap this up as in, um, talking about the same thing
yeah,
wise. Um, I should write one about, or we should come up with one about self care.
yes. Okay.
Like, I will take the time to, or I have time in my day to give to myself. Or like maybe one about advocating, like my family will be accepting of me taking the time for myself or something like that.
Yes,
Can you write it? Can you do
yes,
that? My
yeah.
family will
That's a
accept
good
the
one.
time I need for myself.
That's a good one. There is always space in my day to care for myself. Um, I'm trying to piece it together in a way that's not so complicated. Caring for myself is important. Erases. Caring for myself. Erases. No, no. Let's go back. Rewind. Caring for myself is something that I make time for each day. I hear space. I think that's what we're gonna have to play with a little bit. But I like what you
Yeah.
said, actually.
I like putting the family in it because I think the biggest hindrance to working on myself is that then I feel like I'm
You're right.
not taking that time to like
Yeah.
do something for my family, as
Yes.
in like, you know, I'm not getting the dinner ready, or
Yeah.
I'm not, helping with the homework,
Yeah.
or I'm not keeping my eyes on them when they're playing,
Yeah.
or, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, so my family will be okay as I take away, or as I do self care, or self care for myself is helping my family.
Well, and another one that just
I
came
need
up
to
for
think
me
of this.
because I think that it's a common feeling for a lot of us that self-care means selfishness, and
Yeah.
or that belief is somewhere in there that if I care for myself, I am taking away from others. And caring
Oh
for
my
my
gosh.
right, caring for
And you know what
myself.
just,
What?
sorry.
It's okay.
Well, what just, we were talking earlier about like we have like perceptions of who we are.
Yeah.
And then when an action happens that is like against that perception, it's like you have this like, I feel like that's like called like this cognizance or something
Yeah.
like that. But you have like, there's like a, something goes wrong. So like in my mind, I'm thinking as a mom, I need to be like ever present,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And, but my environment is telling me that I can't do that, or I need to like step away from that. And that's the conflict that's going on right now, is
Yeah.
that truly I can't be ever present,
Yeah.
even though that's the like the program that's running through my
Yeah.
mind. So maybe I need to say like something about that, like, um, it, you know, I am still a good mom, even if I'm not present 100% of the time,
Right.
or like
Right.
leaving my family's presence is still an acceptable thing for a mom to do, or so,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yes. Like all of
I need to
those,
work on
but
that a little.
they're all like you
Yeah.
can sit and write it out, but that process is awesome to even sit to write out an affirmation, because then you can start to really break down the beliefs. Like, I do have that belief in me. And, part of the reason why I had such a hard time with boundaries is because I could feel disappointment when I wasn't doing what I perceived, not even what they were telling me,
Hmm.
but that I perceived they needed me to do, because I would always read the energy and just do what I thought people needed. So it's like I would skip that step, right? And
Yes, I do that all the time
yeah,
too. And I've been like working really hard at
yeah,
saying, like, what do you feel?
yeah,
What do you need before I act?
that's right.
Yeah.
And that's taken a long time to work with, because I started to practice stepping back and not estimating what they needed, but allowing them to tell me, or directly asking what's needed, keeping the communication open instead of reading people, because, I practiced reading people out of trauma, or feeling, trying to protect myself. So
Hmm.
now, I'll either directly ask and, what do you need? Then I can respond with what I'm able to give. Now, on the other side of things, like, I pulled back from many, many people throughout my process, and I had to, and not everybody understood that. It really had nothing to do with anyone else. It was what I need. And even today, I know that I need to dial off. I have to shut my phone off. I have to step back, but that's part of my self care. That's what I need.
Yeah.
So it's working through
Yeah.
all of those things and building our
Yeah.
belief system back.
I have to say, I'm kind of having like an epiphany right now, because sometimes, like for me, it's not even like I'm doing something. It's not like I have to be doing something, or I have to clean the
Yeah.
house, or I have to cook. It's almost like I have to be on watch. So I won't even be doing anything, but I have to be available. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I have to be on the watch. And if I'm going and like meditating, I'm not on the watch. And so like I don't do it. But then because I'm on the watch, it's not even like I'm doing anything. Like I literally am just piddling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that piddle time could like 100% be spent doing something more effective, like meditating or working out or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm not taking that time for myself. I'm literally giving it to mother time, like father time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So like just even like that, whatever that I just said, that affirmation, I think just released that for me.
Yeah.
Like I am free. It was like I'm free to whatever I said. I don't know. I'm gonna have to rewind and listen to it, because I'm gonna say that 100 more times, because that literally just gave me that thought
Yeah.
and like released that.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
So
That's amazing.
yes,
It really is. Well, wow, we went
it is
full circle
amazing.
through. I guess all of this is a little bit of self-care and what's been going on and all kinds of stuff. And we've got so much more, because having a few weeks of not being together, I've got a page of notes here of all kinds of stuff that we've experienced. We just cannot jam it into one session.
It's literally, I feel like we've been gone a year.
Yeah.
So I am so sorry, everyone. Maybe we'll try to like record some
Yeah.
like backup episodes so that
Yeah.
this doesn't happen again. But life will happen, and, we will be missing some weeks, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But we'll try to like have some other things lined up for that, because I'm sure, like you guys, like I just miss everyone. I miss
Yeah, me
this.
too. Me
And I
too.
need it
Me too.
every week. I
Me
need it
too.
every week.
Yes. It's good to be back. It's good to be back.
Yeah.
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 Well, have a wonderful week, and everybody have a wonderful week. And I guess we will
Yes.
see you all.
It's good to be back. It's good to see you guys. Thank you so much for waiting patiently through this hiatus that we went on.
And all the
Michelle, I'm
support
so
and the
glad that your
love.
family,
Yeah.
yes, and I'm so glad your family is on the mend and getting things under control, and prayers that everyone
Thank you.
continues their healing. I just, that is such a scary thing to go through. So
Yeah.
we are with you. We
Thank you.
love you. We support
Thank you.
you. And we hope for the best. So,
Thank you.
and send light and love and
Yes.
healing
Oh,
and
we feel
all
it.
the
We
goodness
feel
to
it.
you.
We feel it.
Good. Good.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, everybody,
Okay.
we will see you next week at the same bat time, same bat channel.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.